Sam Parr sold The Hustle for millions of dollars, and he swears by this one training method he stole from classical musicians. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually the fastest way to turn new hires into superstars without you having to micromanage their every move.
Welcome to Expert Strategies, the podcast for business owners who want to scale faster, systemize smarter, and grow bigger. Your host, Ryan, is here to cut through the noise with battle-tested tactics, proven frameworks, and real conversations with industry leaders who've built businesses that run and thrive without them. No fluff, no theory, just the strategies that work. Listen in, take notes, execute.
Now, here's the method most business owners completely ignore. Stop me if this sounds familiar. You hire someone promising, spend weeks training them, and they're still asking the same basic questions. Meanwhile, you're still having to do everything yourself. But what if I told you musicians actually figured this out 200 years ago? Sam Parr built and sold The Hustle using this exact method, and it's called copy work. He uses the same method that world-class musicians and composers learn to be, well, world-class. Promising composers and would-be musicians would hand copy Mozart's sheet music, note by note, measure by measure. Now, when they would do this, they weren't just reading it, they were literally writing it out by hand, every single note. It's kind of like the Catholic scribes were doing during the medieval period, having to hand copy the Bible before the advent of the printing press. So when you do this, your brain actually learns differently when you physically reproduce something versus just reading it. It's like the difference between watching someone ride a bike and actually pedaling the bike. When you copy something by hand, neuroscientists call this the generation effect. Your brain creates more neural pathways than with passive learning. And here's what most business owners don't even realize. The old way of training actually treats employees like information buckets. And your buckets might be porous. There could be holes in it. And you just constantly pour that knowledge in and hope that it sticks. But there's no muscle memory actually being built. Now, in copy work, there are 3 stages to it. You have copy, modify, and create. Each stage solves a completely different business problem. Here's how we flip the script on employee training. I don't want you to treat your employees as just absorbers of your information. You need to treat them as apprentices learning from masters. And we're going to start with stage 1. This is the pure copy method or step. And this is the foundation of everything you have to do in the world of copy work. So what I want you to do is I want you to find your perfect example, that flawless customer email, the perfect service call or sales call, the cleanest report that you have. And these are going to be your exemplars for your business. These are the things that I want your employees to start copying. Now, what I want you to do next is have your employee reproduce it word for word, step by step. This is going to be your new hire, okay? Now, in the beginning, it's going to seem like busy work. I promise you it's not. It builds unconscious competence. Now, when they copy that perfect customer response 3 times, they start thinking like your best performer. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. There's an HVAC company out of California that used to allow each technician to write their own service reports in their own way. They had kind of that creative freedom to kind of do what they wanted, and you can guess the outcome. Customers were often confused, documentation was very inconsistent, and billing issues eventually plagued the company. So eventually, the business owner actually decided to identify their best text report and then had every new hire copy it out, same format, different jobs. And within weeks, service reports were consistent across the board, and customer complaints actually dropped by 40%. Okay, stage 2. This is where we analyze together. This is the understanding. After they've copied it, you want to sit down together. You want to ask them questions. What did you notice? Why did they use that language? What's the rhythm of their process? This actually shifts their learning from procedural to principled. Now, most managers skip this step and wonder why their people can't adapt. All right, moving on to stage 3. This is the copy to create. This is the mastery of copy work. So once they've copied the process 3 to 5 times, give them a completely new situation. Ask them to respond using the same format and tone. Here's another example. There's a pressure washing company out of North Carolina, and new guys were taking forever to estimate jobs, and customers were getting inconsistent quotes. One guy would bid $300, another would bid $800, and it might even be the same house. So what they decided to do was they decided to find their best estimator's work order. They had every new hire copy it out by hand 5 times across different properties, but they would use the same format: square footage, surface type, equipment needed, so on and so forth. 30 days later, new hires were estimating, and I'm not kidding, new jobs 60% faster. Quote accuracy went through the roof. All right, stage 4, teaching others. This is the multiplication factor. 6 months later, those same new hires in that pressure washing company were training the next batch of employees. Why? Because they didn't just learn the process, they absorbed the standards. It's like learning a language through immersion versus just memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary. Copywork creates fluency. Now, what I want you to do next is I want you to build a copywork library for your business. It could include sample client emails, perfect bug reports, ideal work orders, these types of things. And they become your internal textbook. So what traditional training does is it dumps information, but copywork transfers instinct. Your employees don't just learn what to do, they learn how your best people think. So let me break this down by role. So if I was in customer service, as the owner of the company or the manager, I might go up to somebody and say, hey, copy this email to an angry customer. I want you to notice the tone, the pacing, and the empathy cues. And then they would copy it. In the world of operations, rebuild this work order. I want you to follow the same steps and then document your time. So in sales, I might hand someone a pitch deck and say, hey, copy this pitch deck slide for slide. Now build one for a different product. If you're an analyst, I might hand you a weekly report. Hey, I want you to reproduce this weekly report, and I want you to copy the layout, the logic, and the formatting. So here's what happens when you don't do this. Every employee develops their own way of doing things. Your business becomes a collection of personal workflows instead of a system. But when you build a copywork library, your new hires plug into your existing excellence instead of reinventing the wheel each time. Now, why does this work so much better than traditional training? Here are 4 scientific reasons. Number 1, the generation effect. When you create something, even if you're just copying it, your brain encodes it deeper than passive consumption. MRI studies show 40% more neural activation when writing versus just reading. Number 2, cognitive load theory. Copying removes the pressure to be creative while your brain focuses on pattern recognition. It's like learning to drive in an empty parking lot before hitting the road. Number 3, social learning theory. Albert Bandura, a world-renowned psychologist, conducted tons of research on this and determined that we learn best through modeling, not instruction. And copywork activates the same mirror neurons that helped humans become the dominant species. And number 4, deliberate practice. Malcolm Gladwell got it right, but he got a little bit of it wrong. It's not 10,000 hours of any practice. It's 10,000 hours of perfect practice. Copywork ensures that your people are practicing perfection, not reinforcing bad habits. Now, I remember as a teenager before the days of YouTube and TikTok, I would sit in my room and try to learn the guitar, and I was actually too lazy to read a book and apply it, but I was also on a farm, which was kind of far away from anybody who was even interested in guitar. So I would just goof off until I found a sound that I liked. I practiced and practiced and practiced. For hours, I would sit in my room and just play on the guitar, but I never actually learned the guitar. Do you know why? It's because I just spun my wheels, not learning what I needed to learn by emulation or copying. I was just learning bad habits and repeating them over and over and over again. Had I spent the time with a mentor doing the copy work, I would have been far better in the same amount of time. Heck, I would probably be recording songs on here now instead of teaching about systems and copy work. But here's what really blows my mind. There's something called the compound effect. When someone masters copy work in one area, they become better learners in all areas. You're not just training your new employees for the task, you're actually teaching them how to learn. Okay, let's say your next hire starts Monday. Here's your complete copywork implementation system that I am building for you. Week 1, this is going to be your audit phase. Find masterwork examples within your business. Don't pick the ones that are good enough. You need to pick the ones that say, this is how it should always be done. This can be done long before your first hire, though. It doesn't need to be when you finally decide to hire somebody. But if you're at the stage now and you're about to hire somebody, this is the step you want to follow. So find your best work and then have your employee copy it. All right, week 2. This is the pure copy phase. I want you to have them copy everything by hand or digitally 3 to 5 times minimum. By hand is preferred. Different customers, different situations, same format. What I want you to do is I want you to sit with them during this. Don't just assign it and walk away. I want you to be present so you can answer the questions and walk them through the understanding. Now, you don't need to hover or dedicate your entire day to them. Just be available so that when they run into a nuance, they can start to see why things happen. They can connect the dots. Which brings me to my next phase, week 3, the analysis phase. Start to ask them, okay, Chris, what patterns did you notice? Why do you think they structured it this way? So in the analysis phase, this is where the aha moment tends to happen, where they move from copying to actually learning. All right, in week 4, this is going to be the creation phase. After they've graduated from copying and starting to finally internalize all the things that you've given them, it's time to throw some brand new scenarios at them and let them create their own responses using what they've learned. And then you review together against the masterwork. Finally, week 5 and beyond, this is going to be a continuous learning cycle. This is where you have them train the next new hire when they're actually able to do it. This is when you know they've truly mastered it. And here's a few advanced tips. What I want you to do, if you can, is record these teaching sessions and build a video library. I want you to create copywork assignments for every role. I know it seems like a ton of work, but once you build this into your business culture, it will be like trying to tie your shoe. You do it because you know it needs to be done, and it'll be faster and easier each time. Finally, make copywork part of your promotion or bonus criteria. I know it sounds crazy, but this actually reinforces the culture of training each other and symbiotic growth within the company. Everyone works together and relies on each other to get better. And if someone can't teach it, then they haven't mastered it. Now, here's what's at stake if you fail to use copywork in your business. While you're still using training methods from the last century, your smartest competitors are actually using copywork. They're scaling 3 times faster. They're training new hires in half the time and building cultures of excellence that attract top talent. Meanwhile, you're still explaining the same basic process for the 20th time, going crazy because your people just don't get it. So that weird musician-composer method that Sam Parr used to build the hustle, now you understand why it created a multi-million-dollar media empire. The companies implementing copywork today are building armies of mini-masters, while their competition is still winging it with ad hoc training. Now, the question isn't whether copywork works. The question is, how much longer can you afford not to use it? If you want the full copywork system I use with my SOP Mojo clients, I have 4 free files that you can download for free at sopmojo.com/copywork. And you can find a link in the description below. And if this changed the way you think about training, go ahead and like this video and hit subscribe, because in the next video, I'll be breaking down the one employee mistake that actually makes teams worse and how to fix it fast. Until then, let's give your business its mojo back.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Expert Strategies Podcast. Make sure to visit us on our website at sopmojo.com. You can also subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are streamed so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating. Or if you'll simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too.